sponsored by the Finance Committee, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the State of Ohio Department of Development and accept if offered the Edward Briney Memorial Fiscal Year 2009 Justice Assistant Grant, JAG, to be administered by the Elyria Police Department and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Callahan.
Mr. President, I move that this ordinance be passed under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gibbs. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, through you.
Okay.
During the Finance Committee, I voted no on this simply based on what Auditor Pileski had said in regards at that time that our numbers were down 10% year to date, and as it looks to be 23% from April of last year to this year. And I just don't see how we can make promises that possibly we won't be able to keep in hiring, even though the amount even may be a lesser amount. I appreciate Chief Metters and Captain Hood for doing those grants and looking into that, but I just don't think we can proceed with this, in my opinion. So I respectfully am going to vote no on this.
Mr. Bullocks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also was going to vote no on this for the same reason as Mr. Stewart. But listening to the mayor saying that I didn't know we could accept parts of this grant, not the total amount of officers we have planned was 14, I believe, Chief. And according to the mayor, we don't have to accept 14. We could go down to say 6 or 7, or do we have to accept the total number in the grant?
Did you want to go up and address? Thank you.
We did some more research on this topic. What we do is what's called a modification of the grant. So if we don't want to accept the entire 14, you can modify that down, then we have to resubmit it to the federal government. Now they can either say yay or nay on it, but that'd be up to them. The other issue is, with Mr. Pileski's indication that there may be more cuts in the different places, we could do a modification and maybe try to rehire people who got laid off. So that's another option. So we can do modification to answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if we, does anybody else have any question? Go ahead, Mr. Bullocks. Yeah.
Well, my other part, I guess, would be to Mr. Schilling. If we pass this now, does this come back to council again so we can vote on it again for the modifications if we have to?
That depends on the process and whether or not the application has to be amended, and only council can amend it. And I don't know that because I've never seen the rules of or the process. So I do not know the answer to that question, okay. Mr. Bullocks.
Thank you.
Chief Metter, can you?
I think possibly the actual acceptance and the approval of paying may come back to this council, as the hiring might not, but there's a possibility some of it may, and the expenditure of the funds to match it would definitely come back to council.
Chief Metter?
To answer your question, we would have to come back to council because we don't have this money in our budget, so we would have to come back to council and get direction from council which way they want to go.
Okay.
One other question for you. If we turn this down, is there any possibility we would jeopardize any future grants from this department?
You mean if we apply for it, then turn it down?
Right.
I don't know. I've never been in that situation before, so I really couldn't answer that. The research I've done on it, I have never heard anybody being involved in that situation. So usually when somebody gets these grants, they actually take them. So I can't answer that for you.
But you're saying that we can manipulate the dollars amount?
We can do what's called modification, yes.
Okay.
We can resubmit the application back to the federal government, tell them we can't make this amount of money because of the following reasons, and that's be up to them to either say yes or no on it.
Okay.
But I think if we're in a worse financial situation, I think it would be in our benefit versus into a detriment.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gibbs.
Yeah, Mr. President, I think you want to have as many grants in the pipeline as possible, and hopefully you have enough out there sooner or later. One hits, similar like playing a lottery. So.
Well, yeah, but you don't want to jeopardize future grant money either by declining after we've been accepted. That was my question.
No, but I think that would be a good problem to have. I think is that we were accepted, and then we'd have to figure out to come up with the funds, and I think we can come up with the funds. I mean, I personally think that, you know, this definitely shows that we're supporting that the safety is a number one priority here within the city. And I think we need to go forward, and then at that time when we receive it, then we find the appropriate dollars to fund it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody? Yeah, Mr. Craig.
One question for the chief through you, Mr. President. You had said in your cover memo that some of the training costs may be allowed, but that information had not been determined at the time of the request. Do you know that? Has that been determined yet?
Well, it depends on several issues here. If we hire people who are already certified, the training costs would be lower. And two, if we lay off people and we try to bring them back up with a modification, we don't have to retrain them, they're already trained. So that would be a lower cost. So those are two options we really can't, we don't know the variables on yet. So it could go up or down. Most likely it will go down.
I see.
Okay, Mr. Stewart.
Yeah, I just want to make it perfectly clear that just from my perspective, I would like to have as many police officers as we possibly can. But if we don't have the money and you're going to worry about it later on, I don't think that's good, sets a good precedence. So if this is under these circumstances, I just cannot do it, Chief. I'm sorry. So I just want to reiterate that fact. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Craig and then Mr. Pileski.
I think we take almost every opportunity that we get to accept grants and to apply for grants. I can think of an example with the $15,000 for the bike trail. You know, we weren't sure whether we had the money or not, but we said, well, you hate to leave money on the table because it's an investment. You know, you see the same thing with the engineering costs that we want to do for some of the projects so we can get some stimulus money. You know, I think one of, if not our top priority, is the police department and the manning, especially when the times are hard and the monies are tight. That's the one area that we really can't afford to go cheap on. So I think it's important that we do support this. And at this point, it is just an application, and we can make some adjustments. We do have some room to move here, so I think we should at least go forward with the process.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pileski.
Yeah, just to keep in mind, I believe this is a 17-month grant.
Correct.
So in 17 months, if we accept the grant and hire people, then in 17 months, we would be paying the whole bill. So just keep that in mind as well. The grant money would run out in 17 months.
So after after these people are hired, after 17 months, we're on the hook for the total dollar amount. Okay. Everybody understand that? Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Chief Bitter? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of suspension signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Did you get that?
I have that one nay.
On the emergency, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
One nay, Mr. President.
On the passage, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carried.
Ordinance number 2009-101.